You ever notice how people will spend 3 hours scrolling TikTok but won't spend 10 minutes fixing their damn life? They'll binge watch Netflix shows about heroes, survivors, and warriors. Yet when life smacks them in the face, they crumble like a Pop-Tart in hot coffee. You got grown adults crying because Starbucks spelled their name wrong. Meanwhile, there are people out there running 100 miles on broken legs and still showing up to work the next morning. The truth? Most of you are soft. You don't need therapy, you need a mirror and a spine. You're living at 40% of your capability. And yes, that's a direct slap to your ego because you know it's true. And if that stings a little, good, because pain is the only currency life accepts. Today we're breaking down Can't Hurt Me, Master Your Mind and Defy the Odds by David Goggins. And before we dive in, let me make this crystal clear. This video falls under the Fair Use Act, which means I'm not just repeating Goggins' book, I'm transforming it, breaking it down, and calling out your excuses along the way. This is for educational purposes only. If you want every detail of his insane story, go buy the book. You'll need it after this verbal ass-kicking. Now, who is David Goggins? Let's put it simply. He's not your motivational speaker in a shiny suit. He's not your Instagram guru selling you mindset courses. He's the real deal, a man who went from being an abused, broken, overweight kid, working a dead-end job into a Navy SEAL, Army Ranger, ultra-endurance athlete, and the guy who makes other Special Forces soldiers look lazy. His life is proof that your excuses are garbage. And here's the thing. Goggins didn't get there because he was born with talent. He didn't get a golden ticket. He clawed his way out of hell with nothing but discipline, suffering, and an obsession with mastering his own mind. The book? It's not a motivational pamphlet. It's a war manual for people sick of living soft, weak, and average. So if you came here expecting some feel-good self-help fluff, you're in the wrong place. This is about destroying the comfortable little box you've built around your life and exposing the fact that deep down, you're settling. And if you can't handle that truth, click away now. Because David Goggins has one mission, to show you that the limits you think you have, they're lies, they're self-inflicted prison bars, and he's here to burn the whole prison down. Welcome to Mindful Reads Hub. Let's get started. From statistic to survivor, most people don't need a villain in their lives. They create one in the mirror every morning. You know exactly what I'm talking about. You wake up, hit snooze 4 times, convince yourself you'll start tomorrow, and then spend the rest of the day wondering why your life feels like a hamster wheel dipped in misery. And then you've got the nerve to act shocked when nothing changes. Let me save you the suspense. Nothing changes because you don't. David Goggins should have been one of those statistics people whisper about. The abused kid who disappears into prison records, the high school dropout who flips burgers until his back gives out, or the angry black man the system swallows whole. His childhood was hell. An abusive father who smiled for the neighbors and terrorized his family behind closed doors. Nights spent cleaning roller rinks instead of sleeping like a kid. Mornings hiding bruises so no one would ask questions. That's not a rough patch, that's trauma as a full-time job. And statistically, kids like that don't come back. They don't write books. They don't break world records. They don't stand on Navy SEAL graduation stages. They fade. But here's the uncomfortable truth. You don't need Goggins' childhood to end up a statistic. You're doing it to yourself right now. You're a statistic every time you fold under pressure, every time you hide behind excuses like, I'm too tired, or I wasn't born with the talent. That's your version of abuse, self-inflicted mediocrity. See, the world doesn't care about your excuses. Life hands out pain like a Costco sample tray, free, unlimited, and guaranteed to hit you when you least want it. Some of you got cushy upbringings, but guess what? That's its own kind of handicap. Being too comfortable is just as dangerous as being broken, because both make you weak. Comfort turns you soft, abuse turns you bitter, and either way, you stop fighting. Goggins didn't have that option. His father beat the softness out of him, and survival meant either folding into nothing or hardening into something. But survival alone wasn't enough. That's where the truth comes in. Most of you avoid truth like it's poison. You sugarcoat, you scroll, you drink, you binge watch. anything but face the reality that your life is slipping through your hands. Goggins didn't have that luxury. Truth was the only thing sharp enough to cut through the lies his brain tried to tell him, that he was dumb, worthless, broken. Every time life tried to bury him, truth became his shovel out. Think about your own life. How many lies do you let slide just to keep yourself comfortable? I'll get in shape next month. Lie. I don't have time to chase my dreams. Lie. I'm fine with where I'm at. Biggest lie of all. That's why you're stuck. You're addicted to the anesthesia of lies. Goggins? He went cold turkey. He forced himself to look at the ugliest parts of his life, the abuse, the racism, the poverty, the failures, and instead of crying about it, he weaponized it. And here's the paradox. That's what makes him dangerous. Because once you stop lying to yourself, you stop being controllable. The world can't manipulate you with comfort anymore. Pain stops being the enemy and starts being fuel. And if you think that sounds crazy, maybe you're not ready to hear this. But Goggins didn't just survive pain, he went out and chased it. On purpose. Because pain was the only thing honest enough to strip away the bullshit. So here's the uncomfortable question. What's the truth you're hiding from? What's the pain you're running away from? You don't need a Navy SEAL instructor to expose it. You already know. And if you don't face it, you'll stay exactly where you are, wondering why life passed you by. Key takeaway. You can't outrun pain, but you can weaponize it. Truth will hurt, but lies will kill you slowly. Stop hiding, face your reality, and use it as fuel, or stay soft and stay stuck. Favorite quote. You are in danger of living a life so comfortable and soft that you will die without ever realizing your true potential. The weight of the impossible. You ever notice how people start whining the moment life asks them to do something uncomfortable? Run 2 miles? That's too far. Work late? I deserve balance. Skip the junk food? But I earned this. Congratulations. You've mastered the art of being average. And that's the problem. Average has become the standard, and the moment anything feels impossible, you fold like a cheap lawn chair. David Goggins didn't have the luxury of impossible. For him, impossible was the doorway. He started by looking in the mirror at a man who was overweight, broke, spraying cockroaches for a living, and lying to himself daily. And instead of hiding from that truth, he confronted it. That's the first step most people never take. Facing reality without excuses. Because let's be honest, you lie to yourself constantly. You tell yourself you're working hard when deep down you know you've got gears you've never touched. That's why the impossible crushes you. It exposes how much you've been faking it. When Goggins decided to join the Navy SEALs, his so-called impossible task started with dropping more than 100 pounds in 3 months just to qualify. The doctors told him it couldn't be done. Society would have nodded politely and told him to love himself the way he was. But he didn't want validation, he wanted transformation. And that's the difference. Most of you would rather have people clap for your weakness than hold you accountable to your potential. That's why you'll never break past average, because you want applause more than progress. And here's where it gets interesting. Once he started attacking the impossible, Goggins realized something. Pain was a currency he could weaponize. He turned suffering into a scoreboard. When he went through Hell Week with the SEALs, multiple times by the way, because he got rolled back after injuries, he figured out a psychological trick he called taking souls. While everyone else was drowning in misery, Goggins decided to flip it. Instead of letting the suffering break him, he used it to dominate. He'd look around at guys more qualified, stronger, more talented, watch them quit, and then smile. Not because it was easy, but because he was still there. That smile wasn't joy, it was a weapon. It sent one message: you can't kill me. Think about how different that is from your life. You let people take your soul every day. Your boss criticizes you and you sulk. Your partner calls you out and you retreat. A stranger online calls you ugly and you spiral into depression. You give your soul away like it's free candy. Meanwhile, Goggins built a career out of snatching souls back. Not because he was the fastest or strongest, but because he simply refused to quit when others did. That's how you win in life, not by being the most gifted, but by being the last one standing. But here's the hardest part. You can't get there without building what Goggins calls an armored mind. You think motivation will save you? Wrong. Motivation is sugar. It spikes, then crashes. An armored mind is steel. It doesn't bend to feelings. It doesn't beg for comfort. And the only way to forge it is through suffering. That means voluntarily choosing the hard road every day, doing the workout when you don't feel like it, reading the book when your brain wants Netflix, saying no when temptation whispers yes. That's the daily war where average people lose, because comfort is seductive and discipline is lonely. But here's the beautiful irony. Once you train your mind to armor up, impossible stops existing. It doesn't mean things get easy. It means you become harder than that obstacle in front of you. Most of you crumble because you expect life to get easier. It won't. Goggins thrived because he expected life to be hell and built himself harder than hell itself. That's the lesson. Stop asking for things to lighten up. Build yourself so heavy that nothing can crush you. Key takeaway. Impossible isn't a wall, it's a test. Pain is the only way through it. You don't beat impossible by being talented. You beat it by refusing to quit when everyone else does. Favorite quote, don't stop when you are tired, stop when you are done. Beyond the trophy. Here's the problem with most of you. You're chasing gold stars like you're still in 3rd grade. You want medals, promotions, applause, a pat on the back. You'll run on a treadmill for 45 minutes, not because you care about health, but because you want to post a sweaty selfie online and wait for those dopamine-fueled likes. You're not chasing growth, you're chasing trophies, and that's why you'll never break free from mediocrity, because you've confused recognition with progress. David Goggins learned fast that trophies are worthless. Sure, he collected medals, set records, and finished events most people wouldn't dare sign up for. But each time he crossed the finish line, each time someone handed him a ribbon, it didn't mean shit. Because the real prize was never the medal, it was the man he became in the process. That's the part most of you miss. You think winning a trophy makes you a winner, when in reality, winners don't need the trophy. Winners know the battle is internal. The applause dies, the medal gathers dust, the post gets buried in the algorithm. But the discipline, the calloused mind, the ability to do hard things when no one is watching, that stays. And here's where Goggins flips the script. Most people look for external motivation, something or someone to keep them going. That's the biggest mistake you can make. Motivation is like sugar, quick hit, quick crash. What you need isn't motivation, it's a weapon, and that weapon is discipline. Discipline is boring. Discipline is unsexy. Discipline is the alarm clock at 4 a.m., the extra set at the gym when nobody's watching, the quiet decision to say no when your whole body screams yes. Discipline is the reason someone like Goggins, who had every reason to quit, became unstoppable. You want to know why most of you will stay average? Because you keep waiting for talent to save you. You think talent is the shortcut. Someone else was born gifted, so why even bother? Goggins destroys that excuse. He didn't have talent. He wasn't a naturally fast runner. He didn't have a perfect upbringing. He wasn't born into opportunity. What he had was pain and the decision to weaponize it. Talent can open doors, sure, but talent without discipline rots. And discipline without talent, that can still conquer the world. Let's be real here. Every time you make an excuse about not being naturally good at something, you're basically admitting you'd rather lose than work. You don't go to the gym because you're not athletic. You don't study because you're not smart. You don't push forward because you're not confident. Stop pretending like you were supposed to come out of the womb with a six-pack, a PhD, and unshakable self-esteem. Nobody does. Talent is nice, but talent isn't required. The only requirement is deciding you're not going to accept your current self as the final version. That's what separates people like Goggins from the rest. He stopped playing for trophies and started playing for transformation. He turned discipline into a weapon sharper than talent and harder than motivation. He didn't need applause, he didn't need validation, he didn't even need to feel good about it. He just did it. And that's the level you have to reach if you want to break through. Do the work when no one cares, when no one claps, when no one notices, because that's when it counts. So ask yourself, are you chasing the trophy or are you chasing the transformation? Because one makes you feel good for a moment and the other makes you unrecognizable in 5 years. And here's the kicker. If you're still chasing applause, you'll never get either. Key takeaway: stop chasing validation. Discipline beats talent, and the real victory isn't a trophy, it's who you become when no one's watching. Favorite quote: don't stop when you are tired, stop when you are done. Uncommon amongst the uncommon. Everyone loves calling themselves elite. You'll see people brag about their job title, their income, their six-pack abs, or their college degree like it means they've made it. But here's the uncomfortable truth. Being elite just means you've reached the top of the average pile. You're not untouchable. You're just better than the soft majority who quit early. And once you get there, most of you stop. You pat yourself on the back, sit down, and start polishing your trophy while time slowly eats away at your edge. That's where 99% of elite people fail. They think the top is the destination. David Goggins saw that trap and decided he wanted no part of it. He understood that the real war starts when you've already separated yourself from the pack, because that's when your competition isn't other people. It's the version of yourself that's satisfied, and that version is more dangerous than any enemy. When Goggins was surrounded by the best, the Navy SEALs, the Rangers, the ultra-endurance athletes, he realized most of them were still human. They still had breaking points. They were strong until the suffering got too loud. They pushed until they felt pain, and then they looked for an exit. And this is where he set himself apart. He asked the one question that nobody else wanted to face. What if I keep going? What if I push past the point where everyone else stops? What if instead of pulling back at 90%, I go to 100% and then keep pushing? That single question is the difference between being elite and being legendary. But here's the thing, you don't get there without failure. Failure isn't an obstacle, it's the gym membership for greatness. Every setback, every humiliation, every collapse, it's the training ground. Most of you run from failure like it's the plague. You're so terrified of looking stupid that you never even try, and that's why you stay stuck. Goggins embraced failure because he understood it was the only way to expand what was possible. He didn't fear it, he hunted it, because failure revealed the next level. You might think that's extreme, but look at your own life. Every time you hit failure, you quit. You bomb one exam and decide you're not smart. You lose one race and decide you're not athletic. You launch one side hustle, it flops, and you go back to scrolling your phone, convincing yourself, at least I tried. That's why you never grow. You think failure is final, when in reality, failure is just feedback. Goggins proved that the difference between the uncommon and the uncommon among them is simple. One group avoids failure, the other group feeds on it. And don't kid yourself, this isn't about running ultra marathons or becoming a SEAL. This is about your everyday life. You quit when the workout burns. You quit when the relationship gets hard. You quit when your boss doesn't praise you. And then you wonder why nothing changes. Meanwhile, Goggins ran on broken legs, taped stress fractures, and kept going. Not because he's superhuman, but because he refused to let failure have the final word. The scariest part? You already know you're capable of more. You feel it every day when you lie in bed at night, staring at the ceiling, knowing you left something on the table. That's your version of what if, haunting you. What if you actually pushed? What if you actually gave your full effort instead of half-arsing everything? What if you stopped lying to yourself and tested your limits? That question should terrify you, because if you never find out the answer, you will live your whole life wondering what you could have been. Key takeaway, being elite isn't the finish line, it's the starting point. True greatness comes from pushing past failure, past comfort, and asking the one question everyone else avoids. What if I go further? Favorite quote, there will always be the 1% of us who are willing to put in the work to defy the odds. The battlefield within. Most people think their biggest battles are out there, against the economy, against their boss, against haters on social media. Wrong. The real battlefield is in the mirror. That face staring back at you, that's your enemy. And the worst part? You've been letting that enemy win for years. You negotiate with it every morning. 5 more minutes of sleep. I'll start tomorrow. This one cheat meal won't hurt. You've surrendered your potential one tiny excuse at a time, and you don't even notice because you've dressed it up as self-care. David Goggins figured out early that external battles are nothing compared to the internal war. Running 100 miles is brutal, sure. Hell Week is torture, sure. But the hardest thing he ever did wasn't any of that. It was killing the weaker version of himself every single day. That fat kid who loved milkshakes. That broken child who thought he was worthless. That grown man who wanted to hide in excuses. Those ghosts don't die easy. They follow you, whispering in your ear every time things get hard. And if you're not ready to fight them, you'll never win anywhere else. The trick? You don't erase weakness, you turn it into a weapon. That's what an armored mind is all about. Not pretending you're strong, but taking every insecurity, every failure, every scar, and forging them into steel. Goggins didn't wake up motivated. He didn't wake up confident. He woke up to the same voice you hear, stay comfortable. The difference is, he fought it, day after day, until his mind had no choice but to bend to his will. That's why he became unstoppable, because his weakness became his training ground. You can see the same principle in your own life, but you avoid it. You fail once and treat it like a funeral. You think failure means stop. No, failure means reload. Every time Goggins collapsed, every time he came up short, he took notes. He treated failure like fuel, not poison. That's why failure empowered him while it paralyzes you. Because you keep looking at it as evidence you're not good enough, when in reality, it's the only proof you're in the fight at all. And this brings us back to that haunting question. What if? Most people treat what if like a ghost story. They shiver, then go back to playing it safe. Goggins turned it into a weapon. What if I keep going when my body says stop? What if I keep studying when my brain says I'm dumb? What if I refuse to live like everyone else? That simple question shattered every limit in his life, and it can do the same for you if you have the guts to ask it honestly. So here's the uncomfortable reality. Your greatest war isn't out there, it's inside you, against the version of yourself that wants to quit. Stay soft, stay small. Every rep you skip, every promise you break, every excuse you swallow, that's the old you winning. And the old you is stubborn. It won't leave quietly. You're gonna have to beat it bloody every single day. That's the real grind. Not Instagram hustle porn, not motivational speeches, the daily knife fight with your weaker self. And the day you decide to win that battle consistently, that's the day your life finally changes. Key takeaway. The hardest enemy isn't the world, it's the weak version of yourself. You can't erase it, but you can outfight it daily. Turn failure into feedback, weaponize weakness, and never stop asking, what if I go further? Favorite quote, the most important conversations you'll ever have are the ones you'll have with yourself. Can't hurt me. Most people live their whole lives trying to avoid pain, but that's exactly why they stay weak. You think life is about collecting comfort like it's some kind of retirement fund, so you buy the soft couch, the bigger TV, the air fryer that makes dinner easier, and then you wonder why you feel hollow. You're stuffing your life with comfort, but starving your soul of growth. The truth is simple. Pain is the point. Pain is the compass. Pain is the only honest signal that you're actually pushing beyond where you are right now. And if you're not pushing, you're not growing, you're decaying. David Goggins figured out that suffering wasn't just something to endure. It was a tool. Every brutal mile, every blister, every rejection, every time he wanted to quit, that wasn't punishment. That was the training ground. You've been told suffering is something to escape, but here's the secret. Suffering is the shortcut. It strips away the ego, the excuses, the fake image you present to the world, and it shows you exactly who you are. And most of you run from that reflection because you don't like what you see. When Goggins said, can't hurt me, he wasn't saying life didn't hurt. It did. His childhood nearly broke him. His body gave out. His mind screamed to quit thousands of times. But he learned that pain only has the power you give it. The moment you stop seeing pain as an enemy and start seeing it as a teacher, you become untouchable. Not because pain disappears, but because it stops controlling you. And that's the final evolution. You don't just survive suffering, you weaponize it. Think about your own life. How many times has pain dictated your choices? You quit a dream because someone laughed at you. You stayed in a toxic relationship because the pain of being alone scared you more. You stopped chasing a goal because the grind hurt too much. You've let pain control your story like a puppet master, and you don't even realize it. Every time you dodge discomfort, you hand over your power. Goggins flipped that script. He took every ounce of suffering and built a life out of it. That's why he could say with a straight face, "You can't hurt me," because he already made peace with pain. And once you make peace with pain, nothing external has leverage over you anymore. And here's the most uncomfortable truth. This isn't about Goggins, it's about you. Every single one of you has the ability to become untouchable, but you won't. You'll nod along to this, maybe even feel a spark of motivation, but tomorrow you'll still hit snooze. You'll still avoid the hard conversation. You'll still choose comfort over growth. And that's why nothing changes, because you keep waiting for life to get easier when the answer is that you have to get harder. So let me confront you directly. When are you going to stop running from your own potential? When are you going to stop negotiating with pain and start owning it? Because the clock doesn't care. Time is passing whether you harden up or not. And every day you avoid the battlefield of suffering is another day you stay weak. That's the truth you don't want to hear. But if you ever decide to face it, if you ever decide to embrace the suffering instead of fleeing from it, you'll discover the same thing Goggins did. You're capable of far more than you've ever imagined. That's the gift of pain. That's the meaning of "can't hurt me." Not that you won't hurt, but that hurt will no longer define you. Key takeaway: pain isn't the enemy, it's the blueprint. Once you stop fearing suffering and start using it, you become untouchable. Favorite quote: "You are in danger of living a life so comfortable and soft that you will die without ever realizing your true potential." Conclusion: you've just been walked through the life blueprint of a man who refused to be ordinary. From a broken childhood, to impossible tasks, to running on legs that should have snapped in half, to turning pain into power. This isn't just a story about David Goggins. This is a mirror shoved in your face. Because everything you've heard here isn't locked to him. It's locked to discipline, to will, to the choice you make every single day. And that means it's available to you. The whole point wasn't that Goggins is superhuman. It's that he's proof the limits you swear are real are nothing but lies you've told yourself. You've been living like your pain disqualifies you. Like your failures mean stop. Like comfort is the reward. Wrong. Pain is the signal. Failure is the teacher. Comfort is the trap. And if you take one thing from this, it's that you can decide right now to step onto the battlefield within and stop playing small. Because let's get real, you're running out of time. Every day you hit snooze. Every day you pick easy over necessary. Every day you avoid that voice inside that whispers, "What if?" You're cashing out your life one excuse at a time. That's why you're not happy. That's why you feel restless. That's why you know deep down you're capable of more. Goggins stopped negotiating with that voice. He flipped the script and proved that once you lean into suffering, once you stop looking for the finish line, once you make peace with pain, nothing can hurt you anymore. Not life, not people, not failure, nothing. So here's the real challenge. Stop pretending this was just an entertaining video. Stop scrolling and convincing yourself you're motivated. Motivation won't save you. Action will. Buy the book, read the book, then do the work. Because unless you decide to put skin in the game, this will be nothing but another piece of content you consumed while avoiding your own life. And if that's the case, close this video, look in the mirror, and admit you're choosing to stay average. But if you're sick of average, if you're sick of the lies you've been telling yourself, then make the decision today to test yourself, because your body will break, your mind will scream, your friends will doubt you, but if you choose to keep going, you'll discover what Goggins already knows. You are far more powerful than you've ever been told. And once you step into that truth, once you embrace that suffering, once you prove to yourself that you can't be hurt, you won't just change your life, you'll change everything. This isn't motivation, this is war, and the battlefield is you. So if you found this breakdown valuable, hit that subscribe button, share it with someone who needs to stop lying to themselves, and remember, this was just a taste. The book Can't Hurt Me is packed with even more stories, lessons, and raw truth. Go buy it, go read it, and then get to work, because time's running out and you don't have another life waiting.